Good afternoon and welcome to Overcoming Adversity podcast with Amanda Marino and Sarah Frias. How are you, Sarah?
Good. How are you?
I'm great.
Good.
You know, just running like crazy like usual.
Sweating outside. I'm sweating.
We're so excited to have our guest here today, a dear friend of mine, someone who is just such a beautiful soul and is such a badass and is so brilliant. That I'm grateful that we're partnering on some things and, you know, continuing to develop our friendship. But just know that I adore you. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Meet Dr. Rachel Needle if you have not. If you don't know her, you need to know her.
Oh,
well, thank you.
I felt like that clap should have been like happened there. I don't know why.
Live up to there.
Yeah. Well, I got to give you a schmooze because I ran late. If you're my friend, you have to know that I run late.
Okay.
It's a thing.
It doesn't help people that are on time, though. It does not make the people on time feel better.
I am habitually early. It's very frustrating.
We would be best friends then.
Yeah, we panicked when you said you were here at 1:15 because she was like, I was like, oh, let's go run in the market. She's like, no, Amanda, we have to go. And I'm like, oh, shit. Okay, no market.
She wanted to go shopping.
I was there at 1, but I sat in my car for a little while.
Oh, you're cute. I love that.
Yeah. So introduce yourself to our listeners.
Hi, that's okay. Dr. Rachel Needle. I'm a licensed psychologist. I'm a certified sex therapist. I am in private practice. I also have several schools and continuing education companies. So we train mental health professionals and medical professionals around the world and coaches in areas all mental health related. So people can check out Modern Sex Therapy Institutes and Advanced Mental Health Training Institute. And I also do a lot of consulting for people building businesses, a lot of mental health and substance use facilities, helping them build programming, increase revenue while being more ethical and providing better care.
You're busy.
Yes.
My gosh.
Yes. And
I don't know how
Rachel
she keeps up.
she's on more boards and like involved in more, I mean, she's at every event and I know you don't sleep. So you literally go to everything and show up for everyone. And it's a beautiful thing. And you make me want to show up to more stuff for people, you know, and for the community.
I think we're all superwomen here.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah. We're among friends, including Janine. So we talked about like all these things that we could talk about today. You and I and Sarah could talk about a million things. Let's start with, kind of like what you shared with me. Let's start with that and go from there.
Yeah. So I think, talk about adversity, we talk about resilience, and I think of things like we all have our stories, right? And a lot of our stories involve things like grief, shame, trauma, mental health struggles, addiction. And one of the things that gets lost when we are talking about those things or it gets distorted is our sexual self. So I thought that could be something we talk about. And, we think of it as a luxury, right? That we, feeling sexual and pleasure is a luxury, but really it's not. It's a necessity, right? It's part of who we are. And I think one of the, most powerful forms of resilience is being able to, burn back our desire and, rekindle our desire and our sexual selves and our identity as a sexual being. So I thought that would be a great topic.
That is a great topic. And you make it comfortable for people to talk about. And like, I think maybe just my generation era being, 44, people didn't talk about it how we do now. And I think it still makes a lot of people feel uncomfortable and it shouldn't, this is a natural, listen, this has been going on since the beginning of time, my friends, like this is something that's natural. And I know for myself, I thought for many years that was not a thing for me. It just wasn't something I desired. And welcome to your 40s. It's not true. So I definitely love that. And I love the part you touched upon too, which we can get into later, which was about you being a psychologist and you being a sex therapist and kind of like what comes along with that as far as expectations or judgment, So we'll get into that after. But so for someone who may be uncomfortable with that topic or maybe uncomfortable with their sexuality or feeling that
I will stay silent over here.
I wasn't going to out
No,
you.
I don't care. No, I was just thinking when she was talking, I was like smiling because I was thinking of the sex tip Saturdays, right? Is that or Saturday sex tip? Which one is it?
Sex Tip Saturday.
Okay, I got
Dr. Rachel Needle.
And I was like, she's so awesome. Like I could never. I'd be thinking about my parents, them watching it, right? And like I always watch them. I love them.
Thank you.
So anybody's watching, they should check him out.
Oh, one of my biggest fans. Like, look at my comments. They're always from my mom. Maybe she has a different last name as me, so people don't know that. And she'll like message me and be like, I can't believe you're my daughter. This was incredible. You know, like no matter what I'm talking about, I'm so proud of you.
That's cute.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and I know where you are, and I respect it.
Yeah.
And like, believe me, all the stuff made me feel super uncomfortable at one point. And I don't, I know you don't come from, like, I come from sexual abuse and like that kind of trauma. And so it was really awkward for me to talk about and embrace, and really, really hard. And and then I've just recently started sharing about the fact that I did stuff, that had nudity on TV. I did Playboy TV when I was, in my early 20s. I did certain things that like I was super ashamed of. And I thought that they were going to help me at the time become more comfortable in my body, which they actually did not. That's an internal thing. So if anyone's thinking about going out there getting naked on TV, it's not going to make you feel more comfortable about yourself. Thankfully, you can't find it really anymore. But yeah, so it's definitely been a journey for me. So like, I feel, like coming, I think I did one of yours. But like just
you did.
Yeah,
that's right.
It was at the Cabana.
At the Cabana. Yeah, you're so like educated, you're so professional, you're so involved in community events, and to hear you talk about it and just make it so light and fun is so inviting.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I think that's important. I mean, the more comfortable you feel, the more comfortable other people are going to feel. And, I like to sort of elicit that from them and meet them where they're at, right? So not everybody is comfortable talking about it. And some people have internalized guilt, shame. Like you said, abuse will help, disconnect you from your body. And I think, part of this healing journey is not necessarily you have to talk about it, but getting more comfortable with yourself and understanding where that came from, whether it was from trauma, messages that you got growing up about sex, whether it was from parents or religious institutions or the media, right? So a lot of that,
whoever you surround yourself with.
Yeah. And nowadays, with all the erotic material and, sexual imagery, or people call porn, that's where people are getting their information on how they, not just their education, but how they should be in relationship, how they should be sexually. And it's usually so inaccurate that it's so important that we continue to just have these conversations so people can feel good about themselves and can embrace their power and their bodies and their desires and not feel shame or badly about their sexuality or how they, function sexually.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say that being in my 40s and being the most comfortable in my body, both, like how I am, both even naked and sexually, like I just never ever thought this was possible for someone like me. Like when you're abused as a child, there's like this thing that you believe. I believed that I was dirty, damaged, broken, and I was so ashamed of everything that I had like underneath my, like it was just a dirty, that's all I thought about sex. So when I did drugs and stuff like that, like sex was great because I didn't have to be present and I was completely detached from my body. But then learning how to do that in the healing journey has been like definitely a long, long process.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned two important things. I mean, one is what sexual abuse, sexual trauma, how that impacts somebody or how it can impact someone, and that's different for everybody. But also, the substance use, right? The using, and that is one thing that I try to preach to, places that provide substance use disorder treatment and individual providers is that, people usually have only, like people that struggle have only had sex when they were high or drunk, right? And so relearning that connection to their own bodies, to other people, how to be sexually is so important and has the potential to really have people, backslide, people call relapse, backslide, whatever, if you don't learn how to have that relationship, because eventually they're going to be sexual. And when you're sexual for the first time sober, it can be really difficult.
And to maintain that and to grow that intimacy and that connection in that way. Like, I believe there was like, I could love someone or I could have sex with them. I could say another word, but that's what we'll say for the podcast. and to do both was unheard of. And I'm sure that's not, I'm not unique in that one.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, when you're in that using state, when you're in that, traumatized in that fight or flight state, there's no compatibility with desire, right?
Yeah, right.
So, and connect, like we need to feel connected in order to feel connected. I'm sorry. So, desire fuels itself on connection. That's one of the things that helps us feel more desire.
Right.
And so you're saying, you could only love or have sex. And so you didn't have that connection, right?
Yeah.
You had
to do
that.
both was terrifying.
Right,
Like to love
absolutely.
someone and be intimate and romantic, not just the sex part, but all the other things. Like,
I mean, you're not alone. Talk to people now about like when they're having sex or when they're engaged in sexual activity. I say use the term sex very broadly, right? You know, how many times they actually look at their partner?
Oh yeah,
right.
Make eye contact.
Right,
Yeah.
right. That's like terrifying to some people. Like I can't have that level of intimacy and connection. And how do I feel about myself in that moment? How do I look right now? How do like?
Yeah, I know. It's so true. I mean,
Even people not using.
Yeah. No, I'm saying like this is long after, like it carried on long after, you know? It's definitely been a journey, and it's something I didn't know if it would ever happen, but I kept trying, you know? I kept trying to like you're saying, do the work, do the trauma work, you know, take away those disbeliefs and really try to become comfortable in my body. And God, if I look at the little version of me that danced in the Ricky Martin video when I was 20 and I see that flawless little body, and I thought I was so uncomfortable in that body, but I'm much more comfortable in this body. And you know, I embrace it and rock it.
Yeah. And that's so important, right? Being able to feel connected and comfortable in your own skin is a big part of being able to experience sexual pleasure.
So if someone like, you know, say they're listening and they want to start somewhere, where would you recommend they start?
For what specifically?
For sexual desire, if they feel like that's kind of like something that's no longer a desire for them, or they're closed off, or they're uncomfortable, like where do you start?
Yeah. So, I mean, so a lot of different things here. So there's a lot of things that can contribute to like issues with sexual functioning in general. Desire is one of that. So I'm going to separate desire from pleasure right now.
Okay.
We'll talk about that first. I mean, you know, first we need to understand like what's impacting your desire. Like, is it something relational? Is it something contextual? Is it something having to do with your hormones or your biology right now? Is it, you know, past history of trauma? Is it, you know, something with your partner or partners, you know?
Yeah.
So we need to understand that in order to understand how to help it. And then once you understand what's impacting it, you can start to address like, you know, how I can start feeling desire again. Also, have they had desire in the past, or, you know, or have they had it and lost it, or did they never experience sexual desire? You know, so that's a really important question too. If they had it and lost it, we want to understand what happened. You know, did it happen gradually? Did it happen all of a sudden? Like, what were those other factors that got them to that point to be able to help them get back? And that'll help us know, do we need to work on something relational? Do we need to work on how they feel in their own body? Do we have to start healing from trauma? If they've never had it, then I'd go back and look more on, you know, the psychodynamic aspects of their family, what they were told about sex. Like, you know, none of this sounds so sexy right now, but it's true. Like it's real, and that's what gets us to feeling sexier and more desire.
Yeah.
But pleasure in general, like a lot of people think they don't deserve pleasure, especially though, you know, and so have to get to the point where we know like we deserve this.
Yeah.
So start by, you know, start with yourself. If that's not something that's against your religion or your beliefs, you know, start with yourself. Like if you can't please yourself and experience pleasure with yourself, it's very unlikely you're going to have that with a partner or partner.
That's true.
Yeah, I feel like you need to know what you like and what you want, and be comfortable, you know, bringing that to the table.
Yeah.
You know? So what do people generally see a sex therapist for? A certified professional sex therapist, not just someone that says they are one.
I was just going to say that actually.
Let's start with the fact that sex therapy is talk therapy. We want to make sure that we're on the same page there. And people come in for a variety of reasons, right? People come in because they're struggling with sexual functioning, right? Desire, arousal, the pain, orgasm. They also come in for relational issues, sexual identity issues that they're struggling with. Also, I do a lot of things with sexual health and pleasure after things like cancer treatments and medical treatments, right? That's really big. And menopause, right? Changes that happen, which are, by the way, both really good and less good, depending on what's going on. So a variety of issues, and I only just mentioned there are a few. Some people are struggling with problematic sexual behavior, what some people call sex addiction. I just don't use that term, right? Where they're feeling like their behavior's out of control. So it's a number of things that you know, people can present for sex therapy for.
I had an interesting conversation the other day with a therapist. We were talking about porn. Yeah. And I like his idea that he spoke about how people come in and they don't really discuss their porn habits, right? Like we can talk about, oh, I did this during my addiction, my drug addiction, or, whatever the case is, right? Or my mental health, but they never talk about like their porn until, for the most part, someone gets caught, right? Say your wife walks in and you're watching something that is what they would view as abnormal, And I liked that concept that he spoke about because I was like, wow, that's so true. Like people think like, oh, I'm watching porn, it's bad. Or I shouldn't be watching this type because it's abnormal. Why am I watching this? And it gets like that regret and like feeling bad. And I like the aspect of this because it's like some people probably have never talked about it. Right. And then they come to you and you're like their first person that they get to talk about these things to, which is so cool.
Feel safe.
Yeah.
People feel a lot of shame around it, right?
Exactly.
In terms of their sexual preferences. I think it starts by, first like talking, about your fantasies and your desires with a partner, I mean, we all have different fantasies, what you feel comfortable sharing. It's important to kind of talk about because it can make for a better sex life, right? And then obviously talking about what you like and what you like to watch, maybe watching it with a partner, but also remembering that there's a difference between privacy and secrecy, right? You're allowed to have some of your private life. You don't have to share all of that with a partner. I think a lot of people get mad at me when I say that, but it's the truth,
It's
right?
true.
We all
I
have our.
I agree. There's a couple things that women have 1,000 secrets in their pocket. Nothing that's going to harm anyone. Like I'm very, very open with my partner, but there's maybe not everything.
Sure, and that because you don't have to tell something, everything that's going through your head at the moment, right?
Totally.
You're allowed to have some things that are private. That's different than a secret, though, right? Secret is usually when you're hiding something from someone. You're allowed to have your private life.
Yeah,
yeah. And I think when it comes to porn, I mean.
Yes, or are they
if
treating
it's not
it like a
impacting
secret?
your relationship, then it's very healthy.
Yeah.
Right? Most people masturbate. Most people watch sexual imagery or porn, so that's a very healthy thing to do.
So I'm going to challenge that, okay? So then there's where you cross the line, right?
Yeah.
And like where it just becomes like it has to be more and more intense and a little bit more out of the norm. I don't want to say bad, good, whatever, but like maybe some of it crossing some serious lines that people aren't able to get off until it's like intensified or getting into inappropriate things.
So you're not talking about crossing a line with like, this isn't okay. You're talking more about, what if somebody becomes used to a certain masturbatory style or they need something. So that's what it's usually about. It's not about, the research doesn't show like necessarily, oh, you need more and more, right? There's a couple things that it shows. It shows one, people get used to a idiosyncratic masturbatory style. So masturbating a certain way. So like how I masturbate, you'll never be able to reach that, right?
Yeah.
You'll never be able to do that for me, right? So if they get used to it a certain way, then yes, then that can be problematic when you're in a relationship because I don't know how much I'm allowed to say on your podcast.
Say whatever
for
you
instance,
want.
My vagina will never be able to do this, right? And it's pretty strong, right? I do my PC muscles are pretty strong, right? It can never grip it like this, right? Yeah. So if you, get used to a certain way, then it might create issues and you might want to back off and try different things with or without a partner so that you don't need a certain amount of stimulation. But in terms of just visually, like, yes, if you're used to seeing something, an image change every 5 seconds and you need this and then you need this, then yes, seeing one partner might not do that for you, right? So I just recommend let someone okay, if you're masturbating 3 times a week, 2 of those times, maybe try without watching something and just imagining something.
Well, okay, I'm going in a whole other. Okay, so this is what I'm thinking.
Oh God,
this is a very controversial topic. Sorry.
Yeah, no, of someone who started with regular porn, regular cute porn, and then needed a little bit more something intense, and then's watching horses and animals have sex with people, and then it's that to be able to get that gratification, it goes further and further and further. I've heard this a lot of times. So this is not a one-time rodeo.
Right. And I understand what you're saying. So that doesn't mean they didn't have those desires before, but most people don't, get turned on by watching animals because they're escalating. That's just not got it. There's nothing to kind of support that research-wise, right? That doesn't happen. We have our sexual desires, and we may be more open to exploring them because they're more available to us to explore. But if something wasn't going to turn us on or is not part of our, it's just not going to grow and happen, right?
Got it.
We may find something that we didn't know we were, that turned us on. And as long as that's not something illegal or non-consensual, that's not a horrible thing, right? That can be really positive. We want to have a big repertoire of things that do it for us.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Any questions?
No,
She's like, so many.
no, I'm just stuck on the horse thing now.
Amanda did go there.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, now I'm just like involved in it.
I'm going to give you my cards to give to these
It's
people.
something I'll never forget.
I'm like,
here.
who do
It's
you talk
something
to?
I'll
You
never
know what I
forget.
mean?
No, it was not the person. It was someone else in their life. So, but yeah, I believe
Yeah.
me. So I did want to touch on a couple of things too about, you shared, and if you're not comfortable sharing, you don't have to, but like about what people, you say I'm a sex therapist professionally and some of the shame and shit that you deal with.
So we'll start with
Do you
the
get
things
stuff,
of like,
really?
Yeah.
when you tell somebody what you do, and then all of a sudden, like, they have lots of questions, which is positive for them, right? They have somebody finally that they're willing to talk to. Some people, are like, okay, and then they turn right around and walk away.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
I feel like I'd ask more questions for
yeah.
sure.
Or start telling me about their lives. Some people assume like that means you want to have sex with them, and just because you talk, like, first of all, not all sex therapists love sex. That's something that I think a lot of people assume. Now, I happen to talk people, I'm very open about how I feel about it. So then they hear that and they think, oh, that means you automatically want to have sex with me. It's like, no, that's actually not the case.
Yeah.
But and then there's that other side of people that are uncomfortable with it. People that that shame me for it, right? That's not something people should be talking about. And, this was something recently I think I did share with you, where someone's like, sex therapist is disgusting. There were other factors
How did
involved
you
there.
respond to that?
I just
Did you kind of just like
I
dismiss
laughed.
it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, it depends on the situation, right? If I was sitting with somebody having a conversation, then I'd educate them, right? Like, I'd spend some time explaining what that means, right? This isn't about just porn, and this is about
So much
Like I
more.
said, like, I work with a lot of people during and following cancer treatment, right? Because every cancer treatment has sexual side effects, and of course your body changes, your relationship changes, your partner goes from intimate partner potentially to a caregiver. Like, there's so many factors. So when they hear that, they realize, like, oh, this isn't just about like you're advocating for pornography and having lots of sex,
sex
which I
workers,
also
yeah.
do, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's that. It's. I mean, listen, on the internet is, I talk about it often. It's wild.
But lots of people are curious, right? It's
I
a
feel
fun
like it should be
topic, and
more
people
so.
become curious.
Yeah, it's good to keep, and like I said, you just make it super comfortable for people. Another thing we touched on before we go into our partnership is, the expectations of professionals. Like, people don't expect like us to have, like, you, me, Rachel. She's a psychologist. She can't have any anxiety, or she can't have any struggles, or she's a relationship expert. She can't have relationship issues. Like, let's talk about that. That's a little bit of bullshit.
Yeah, and I think we should do a whole show on that. I mean, that is right. They expect you're perfect. You're a sex therapist, your sex life's perfect. You're relationship expert, your relationship is perfect. You're a psychologist and you specialize in anxiety. You never have had any anxiety. No, I'm human, right?
Yeah.
Like, I struggle at times just like everybody else. Now, do I have the tools to know how to handle it? Do I, think about, where is this coming from? And do I try to, analyze sort of and process sort of what I've been going through or what's come up or where it came from? Absolutely, right? I have that. I also happen to have some of my closest friends who are psychologists too, which is great for me.
Oh, that's perfect.
All my friends, all our friends are
I was gonna
therapists.
say-
But people have made those comments before that, like, if I'm having a rough week, like, or I'm feeling down, like, what do you mean? But you're a psychologist. Like,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
you're still human, right? But there's that shame that
bless
goes with
them.
that too. Like, should I not be human? Should I not be struggling at times? And
Yeah.
the truth is that I have resources and tools that allow me to probably work through things differently, but that doesn't mean that I don't struggle at
Yeah,
times.
exactly.
Just because someone's a professional does not mean that they don't struggle with
Exactly.
whatever is going
Yeah.
on. So that's a message.
And some more than others, like
Yeah.
there are times where you have therapists that they need to take a break from what
Yeah.
they're doing because
Oh, yeah, we've seen
you
that.
need to be able to
This morning.
know that about yourself when you need to take a break.
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
I know you're going to talk about your collab, but how did you get into like sex therapy? Like, how did you
That's a
decide?
great
Like,
question. Actually, don't
I'm
even
going
know
to
that.
go this way. You know, like
yeah.
instead of saying
And to have a school with it. and
yeah, like
everything.
how did you decide?
all
Like,
in.
this was my calling.
So I always say I was born into it. My mom owned a women's health center.
Oh.
I grew up, listening to her give talks, and I read my first Dr. Ruth book, Westheimer book, off her bookshelf when I was in 5th grade. So I was always the person that people came to and asked questions because
They knew your mom.
Yeah. And she talked about it very openly. So I felt comfortable. So I knew I wanted to go into psychology. I knew one of the areas that I loved was sex. And so it just was a good fit. I started peer educating for Planned Parenthood when I was 16.
Wow.
So it was just sort of a natural progression.
That's cool.
Yeah. And so I always also loved the clinical. I loved educating. So I was teaching since right when I got my master's in, 2002, I think it was. And so it was just, for me, natural to both open a practice and, grow a large group to help the community, as well as, to start a training facility to educate.
Yeah. And what's the organization you're involved in? Modern Sex?
So I have several schools. Modern Sex Therapy Institutes and Palm Beach University are licensed schools. And then I have Modern Sexuality Institutes, training institutes, which does continuing education and certifications. So you can become certified through Modern Sex Therapy Institutes, even in sex therapy, LGBTQIA affirmative therapy, sexual trauma. So I have like 18 certification programs, and then we have over 300 archive workshops. I also have Advanced Mental Health Training Institute, which does substance use, trauma, and other areas of psychology.
Impressive. You should be proud of yourself. That's really cool.
Thank you. As well as you. Like I said, you both are powerhouses as well. So
you're like us. We're like, all right, what can we take off the plate here?
I know. Amanda's trying to add stuff on yesterday. Remember?
I was trying. We take off and we add.
No, I was talking about taking off something, but what I was trying to add was something that would be a lot less work with a lot less with a lot more, bring in.
There you go.
So that's what I'm trying. Like after this, that's 20. I've had that dream.
I was like, I can't keep up with like all of. I'm like trying to, right? Like usually I'm pretty good, but there's just like I'm like, okay, this.
It's
and that,
too much. It's too much. It's where you are, and I know you. We have to kind of wrap it up. But so you are the perfect person for myself to partner with all that background with the therapy schools and you being a psychologist. So Rachel and I have been working on the side with Sarah's assistance. We did have Blake involved in the beginning. He helped do some of it. And so we're putting out a coaching school. So starting with recovery coaching, and we're going to do trauma informed coaching, we're going to do all the things, but our plan is to launch it soon.
Yeah. We're finishing the recording for the recovery coaching, and we're going to sort of hopefully expand. We have the sober transport training.
Yeah, companion training.
And so we're going to do all things related. Start with substance use and addictive disorders, because that's one of our specialties and your specialty, and then we'll branch out. So that's exciting.
Yeah, it's definitely between two people that have schedules like ours. It's definitely been a thing. And there's been times where like I've been gung ho and all in, and I can't find Rachel. And right now I'm that person. She's gung ho, and I'm like I have a block up.
Yeah, I feel like last month I was like, oh, what's going on with you and Rachel? And she was like, oh God, she texted me. Call her.
We're good. We're good.
Yeah,
it'll happen, and when it does, it's gonna be amazing.
For sure.
This is the thing. I called Rachel and I'm honest, and I said, listen, I need to sit with you to finish, because you saw when I was sitting in your office, we banged out the modules.
She's better with someone else.
I need
she's by herself.
I've told you this from the beginning. I need to be managed. Yeah. Like I can create some amazing shit, but when it comes to that stuff, I need to be managed. But once it's done, like I will get that shit out there like nobody's business.
And you'll do it quick.
Yeah. And so look out for that. It's Next Level Growth Academy.
Yep.
And we have that coming soon. So if you do have an interest in that, definitely reach out to us. So how do people find you, Rachel?
So drrachelneedle@gmail.com is easy. You can go to drrachel.com is my personal website. And then modernsextherapyinstitutes.com is another. On Instagram, I'm Dr. Rachel Needle. On Facebook, I'm still Dr. Rachel.
Pretty easy. Yeah.
I'm easily Googleable.
Yes, you are.
Googleable, yeah.
Googleable. Yeah, that's a word.
Yeah.
If not, we've made it
now.
Yeah.
All right, let's ask her a question. What's something that's like an annoyance to you?
Oh God, I'm not prepared.
Like
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you first.
An annoyance to me?
Something that's like a pet peeve, something that's like a grievance. You can use me if it's one.
I actually was going to announce that. I was like, I have one for Rachel.
What's yours?
I don't know. I wasn't prepared for this.
Well, that's the whole point. I can go first because I can wing something with anything. I mean, the last one I used was traffic. That's just like a constant one. I think, it would be the social media trolls, I know they're not going away, but I just have to share, like, I just can't, and I have some empathy for them because I can't imagine having time, energy, and bandwidth to spend time writing negative things about people that either I have known and maybe are hating on, or don't know and are hating on, like, I was recently in a collab post with somebody who has a very big platform, and the negative comments on there were so bad I had to turn them off. So, it's not, I now know I'm not alone in that, but I just trolls, get out of your mommy's basement and go to therapy and get some help and stop, living on the internet and hiding behind a screen. That's my grievance.
All right. I think when people don't take responsibility is one of mine. Like I very much want people to take responsibility, and also when people don't express empathy towards others and just make assumptions and don't look to see, what that person might be going through and put themselves in their shoes. So
yeah, love that.
Well, the first thing that popped up in my head, which isn't people related, was statistics. Just because I'm stuck in that right now. It's my third time. So, and then I guess lastly is when I'm working out and someone's sitting on a machine that I need to use and they're watching a video on their phone really irks my soul because I'm like you, Rachel. I'm like on time. Like I have a set plan. I'm leaving the gym at 9:00 because I have to go home, shower, and get ready. So yeah, that's probably mine.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that life.
I know. That's okay, Amanda.
I try.
We'll help you.
I haven't, listen, I intend to always be on time. I just literally, it's a distraction. Like I can send you articles about me. There's articles. Okay. So let's thank Dr. Rachel Needle for coming on today. Please find her. We'll add her information in the podcast. Please rate us, give us a 5-star, share with your friends, and you can find us because Overcoming Adversity podcast is powered by Next Level Recovery Associates at nextlevelrecoverassociates.com. Myself, Amanda Marino Official on Instagram and TikTok. I'm also Googleable.
You are? Yeah, she is. I'm not. I think my Instagram, Sarah Ellen Frias, but you can probably just find me on Amanda's. So if you go on Amanda's, click on it, and then there I am. That's probably the best way.
Well, thank you for
having me.
Thank you so much for your patience and tolerance with your late friend.